Buddhāvataṃsaka Sutra. Book 39. Entry into the Realm of Reality. Video 12. Maitrayani. Then, with inconceivable respect for spiritual benefactors, the great zeal purified, ready for the great vehicle, seeking enlightened knowledge, absorbed in the way to enlightenment, seeking association with spiritual friends, dwelling in the sphere of the teaching, approaching unhindered knowledge, certain of the supreme truth, intent on ultimate knowledge, realizing that past, present, and future are ultimately one instant, aware of ultimate non-duality like space, sure of the ultimacy of non-duality, dwelling in the ultimate non-differentiation of the reality realm, devoted to discipline whose goal is freedom from obstruction, intent on ultimate harmony in action, dwelling on the ultimate non-difference of those who realize thusness, intent on the knowledge to tear apart the net of conceptions of all sentient beings, free from attachment to any land, his mind not attached to the congregations of the Buddhas or to the purities of the Buddha lands, perceiving all sentient beings as void of self or inherent identity, realizing that all sounds are like echoes and eminently aware that all forms are like reflections. Sadhana gradually made his way to the city Simhavajramhita, looking for the girl Maitrayani. He was told, the girl Maitrayani, daughter of the Raja Simhaketu, with a retinue of 500 girls, is up on the roof of a palace of radiant jewels, sitting on a seat set on sandalwood legs and draped with nets of strings of jewels and arrayed with celestial cloth, expounding spiritual teaching. Hearing this, Sadhana entered the city, went to the house of the Raja, and stood at the outer foyer, desirous of seeing the girl Maitrayani. There he saw hundreds of thousands of people going in. He asked them where they were going and why they had come, and they told him they were going to Maitrayani to hear the teaching. He thought to himself, no one is prevented from going in. So he went in. Having gone in, he saw the palace of radiant jewels set on a crystal base, with pillars of lapis lazuli and walls of diamond, ornamented with 100,000 projections of gold, furnished with countless jewel mirrors, arrayed with world-illumining jewels, spread with countless jewel nets, graced with inconceivable arrays of beautiful sounds from 100,000 golden bells shaken by the breeze. He also saw the girl Maitrayani, with dark eyes, black hair, and golden skin. Sadhana paid his respects to her and said, Noble one, I have set my mind on supreme perfect enlightenment, but I do not know how an enlightening being is to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings. She said, Look at the adornments of my palace. Looking all around, in each wall, each pillar, each mirror, each figure, each formation, each jewel, each golden bell, each jewel tree, each girl's body, each jewel necklace, he saw reflected images of the Buddhas in the cosmos, with their first inspirations, spheres of practice and vows, manifestations of emergence in the world, mystical transformation on attainment of enlightenment, turnings of the wheel of teaching, and displays of ultimate extinction. This he saw in each and every object. Just as the sun, moon, and stars in the sky are seen reflected in a clear, limpid pool of water, so did all the Buddhas of the cosmos appear reflected in each object of the luminous jewel palace. This as the result of the girl Maitrayani's past roots of goodness. Having viewed this, holding in mind the features of this supernal array of visions of Buddhas, Sadhana joined his hands in a gesture of respect and turned his attention to Maitrayani's words. She said, I have attained the means of access to perfect wisdom from the arrangement of the totality. I sought this from Buddhas as numerous as grains of sand in 36 Ganges rivers, and those Buddhas introduced me to the means of access to perfect wisdom by way of the arrangement of the totality through various ways of entry into it, each different. Sadhana said, what is the sphere of this means of access to perfect wisdom by way of the arrangement of the totality? She said, focusing my attention on this means of access to perfect wisdom by way of the arrangement of the totality, meditating on it, following it, pondering it, contemplating it, making it familiar, keeping it in mind, putting it in order, putting it into effect, perfecting it, thoroughly examining it, I developed a mental control called facing in all directions, in the sphere of which mental control incalculable tens of hundreds of thousands of media of the teaching operate, assemble, become visible, become accessible, and develop, for example, the medium of Buddha lands, the medium of Buddhas, the medium of doctrines, the medium of all beings, the medium of the past, the medium of the future, the medium of the present, the medium of the limit of duration, the medium of virtue, the medium of provisions of virtue, the medium of knowledge, the medium of provisions of knowledge, the medium of vows, the medium of differentiation of vows, the medium of practices, the medium of purification of practices, the medium of accumulation of practices, the medium of fulfillment of practices, the medium of actions, the medium of harmony of actions, the medium of streams of actions, the medium of performance of actions, the medium of fields of actions, the medium of rejection of evil actions, the medium of undertaking of proper actions, the medium of control of actions, the medium of morality, the medium of guidance to right ethics, the medium of concentration, the medium of practice pursuant to concentration, the medium of contemplation in concentration, the medium of spheres of concentration, the medium of emerging from concentration, the medium of mystic knowledge, the medium of the ocean of mind, the medium of ways of thought, the medium of clearing away entanglements of mind, the medium of illumining the obscure recesses of the mind, the medium of calming and clearing the pool of the mind, the medium of capacities of the mind, the medium of the actions of the mind, the medium of the occurrence of sentient beings' afflictions, the medium of defiling habit energies, the medium of the acting out of afflictions, the medium of interests, the medium of the conduct of sentient beings, the medium of the variety of conduct of sentient being, the medium of the productions of the world, the medium of the inclinations of sentient beings, the medium of what is in the conceptions of sentient beings, the medium of places, the medium of the realms of phenomena, the medium of great compassion, the medium of great kindness, the medium of tranquility, the medium of speech, the medium of reason, the medium of attainments, the medium of distinctions, the medium of unity, the medium of ultimate non-attachment, the medium of totality, the medium of the principles of Buddhas, the medium of the principles of enlightening beings, the medium of the principles of disciples, the medium of the principles of individual illuminates, the medium of worldly principles, the medium of principles of formation of worlds, the medium of principles of disintegration of worlds, the medium of principles of the existence of worlds, the medium of purification of worlds, the medium of defilement of worlds, the medium of worlds with purity amid defilement, the medium of worlds with defilement amid purity, the medium of wholly defiled worlds, the medium of wholly pure worlds, the medium of levelness of worlds, the medium of inverted worlds, the medium of upside-down worlds, the medium of entry into the network of the cosmos in which everything is interrelated, the medium of revolving of worlds, the medium of being based on thoughts, the medium of the microcosmic found in the macrocosmic, the medium of the macrocosmic in the microcosmic, the medium of vision of Buddhas, the medium of variety of embodiments of Buddhas, the medium of variety of auras of Buddhas, the medium of differences in the voices of Buddhas, the medium of the production of the wheels of teaching of Buddhas, the medium of the continuity of the wheels of teaching of Buddhas, the medium of expressions of the wheels of teaching of Buddhas, the medium of the turning of the wheels of teaching of Buddhas, the medium of embodiments of Buddhas, the medium of the audiences of Buddhas, the medium of the differences in audiences of Buddhas, the medium of entry into the oceans of audiences of Buddhas, the medium of illumination of the powers of Buddhas, the medium of concentrations of Buddhas, the medium of mystic emanations from the concentrations of Buddhas, the medium of the states of Buddhas, the medium of the magic powers of Buddhas, the medium of the projected forms of Buddhas, the medium of Buddha's knowledge of what is on the minds of others, the medium of spiritual transformations of Buddhas, the medium of abiding in the state of satisfaction, the medium of the works of Buddhas up to the manifestation of ultimate extinction, the medium of works for the benefit of infinite beings, the medium of the profound doctrine of emptiness, the medium of various doctrines, the medium of forms of the practices of enlightening beings, the medium of the forms of the production of the aspiration for enlightenment, the medium of the forms of provisions of the aspiration for enlightenment, the medium of the forms of vows, the medium of the forms of practices, the medium of the forms of mystic knowledge, the medium of the forms of emancipation, the medium of the forms of purification of mental control, the medium of the forms of purification of the sphere of knowledge, the medium of the forms of purification of wisdom, the medium of the infinite forms of enlightenment, the medium of forms of purification of mindfulness. I know this means of access to perfect wisdom, which is the array of total mindfulness. How can I know the practice or tell the virtues of the enlightening beings whose minds are like space, whose intellects are broad as the cosmos, whose mental flow is based on accumulated virtue, who have attained transmundane understanding, who do not practice worldly ways, who have attained the eye of the light of knowledge without obscurity, who clearly discern all realms of reality, whose awareness is infinite as space, whose eyes are mindful of all objects, who are filled with the light of the state of non-obstruction, who are skilled in analyzing all doctrines, meanings, and statements, who are not overcome by any world, who conduct themselves well according to worldly standards and are irreproachable in any worldly state, who are intent on the well-being of all worlds, who are a refuge for all beings, who know the manners and courtesies of speech of all worlds, who can give the appearances of dress and habitation of all worlds as they wish, and who are masters of all wheels of time? Go south, to the land called Trinayana, where a monk named Sudarshana lives. Go ask him how an enlightening being is to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings. Then Sudhana paid his respects to Maitrayani and left. Sudarshana. Then, contemplating the profound discernment of enlightening beings' knowledge, the profound attainment of the base of the reality realm, the profound knowledge of all subtleties, the profundity of the conceptuality of the world, the profundity of the base of non-doing, the profundity of the base of the mental stream, the profundity of the base of interdependent origination, the profundity of the plane of truth in terms of inherent nature, the profundity of the plane of truth in terms of the conventions of sentient beings, the profundity of the ground of adornment of the cosmos, the profundity of the plane of observation of the operation of the body, and the profundity of the ground of the world of action and thought. Sadhana made his way to the land of Trinayana. Looking for the monk Sudarshana in towns and cities, marketplaces and villages, in herding stations, in hermitages, in the provinces, in mountains, caves, and forests, he saw Sudarshana walking around in certain woods, young and handsome, with the physical marks and embellishments of a great man, his gaze steady, mindful, of vast intelligence, intent on the sphere of insuperable knowledge, his mind free from all vacillation, vain imagination, idle fancies, and false ideas, abiding in pure knowledge, aware of the vast range of enlightened knowledge, firmly resolved to guide all beings to full development, with a vast sphere of great compassion, aiming to bear the eye of the teachings of all Buddhas, aiming to produce the light of knowledge in all sentient beings, ever mindful of the way of the enlightened, treading it for the sake of all sentient beings, walking quietly and steadily, neither quickly nor slowly, dressed like the deities of the pure abodes, surrounded by all kinds of beings. Furthermore, in front of Sudarshana as he walked were deities of direction who caused the world to turn. Footstep-following deities received his steps on jewel lotuses. Fire deities with inexhaustible spheres of light dispelled the darkness. Forest deities showered rain of flowering plants. Earth deities, the source of stability, revealed jewel mines. Sky deities, their splendor illumining everywhere, adorned the sky. Glorious ocean deities scattered great jewels over him. Polar mountain deities, full of purity, folded their hands in respectful salutation. Wind deities of unobstructed power gave off a fragrant flowery breeze. Spring-like night deities prostrated their beautifully adorned bodies in respect. Ever-awakening daylight deities hovered in the sky holding banners of radiant jewels to produce light. Sadhana went up to the monk Sudarshana, paid his respects, and said, "Noble one, I have set out for supreme perfect enlightenment and seek the practice of enlightening beings. I have heard you give enlightening beings instruction, and I ask you to tell me how an enlightening being is to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings." Sudarshana said, "I am young, and have only recently become a monk. At that, in one life I have performed religious practice in the company of as many Buddhas as grains of sand in 38 Ganges rivers. With some I performed spiritual practice for a day and a night, with some for a week, with some for a fortnight, with some for a month, with some for a year, with some for a century, with some for a millennium, with some for 100 millennia, with some for 1,000,000 years, with some for 1,000,000,000 years, with some for untold, inexpressible numbers of years, with some for an intermediate eon, with some for half an eon, with some for an eon, with some for as long as untold, inexpressible numbers of eons, and from all those Buddhas I heard explanation of the teaching and received instruction. My vows were purified, my sphere of practice entering into the realm of realization was purified, the oceans of transcendent ways were fulfilled, I perceived their mystical transformations on attainment of enlightenment, I remembered their successive cycles of teaching without confusion, I realized the equality of their powers, and I preserved their instructions till the end of the right doctrine. I also realized all those Buddhas passed vows for the purification of their Buddha lands, by the power of accomplishment of concentration on the sphere of vows. I also realized all those Buddhas passed enlightening practices for the purification of their own practice, by the power of attainment of concentration entering into all practices. I realized all those Buddhas' purification of the transcendent ways, by the power of setting out on universally good practice. Furthermore, as I walk here, all realms flow toward me because of keenly observant knowledge being brought to the fore. All worlds flow away from me for the purification of passing over untold worlds in a single thought, by the power of accomplishment of great vows. In a single thought untold practical principles for sentient beings appear to me, for the fulfillment of the knowledge of the 10 powers, by the power of carrying out the vows of practice of universally good enlightening beings. In a single thought the purities of visions of untold Buddha lands appear to me, so I may honor, attend, and serve as many Buddhas as atoms in untold Buddha lands, by the power of carrying out the vow to serve former and future Buddhas. In a single thought the teachings of untold Buddhas occur to my mind, by the power of carrying out the vow to remember wheels of teaching accompanied by countless ways of proceeding with the teachings in action. In a single thought, untold oceans of enlightening practices appear to me, for the purification of all spheres of practice, by the power of carrying out the vow to fulfill the practices of enlightening beings, which are all interrelated. In a single thought, untold oceans of concentrations become manifest to me, for the purification of all spheres of concentration, by the power of carrying out the vow to comprehend all ways of concentration in one way of concentration. In a single thought untold oceans of faculties appear to me, for adaptation to all faculties and times, by the power of carrying out the vow to attain the faculty of ultimate mindfulness. In a single thought, untold wheels of time are manifest to me, for conveying timely teachings, by the power of carrying out the endless vow to continue till the end of sentient beings. In a single thought, untold oceans of all pasts, presents, and futures appear to me, for the definition of past, present, and future in all worlds, by the power of carrying out the vow for illumination of comprehensive knowledge. So I know the enlightening liberation, the lamp of knowledge which is never extinguished. How can I know the practice or tell the virtues of the enlightening beings with adamantine will, who are born in the families of all Buddhas who have undying life roots, whose light of knowledge is never extinguished, who have indestructible bodies, whose magical forms are without end, who embody the principle of relativity, who appear to sentient beings according to their mentalities, whose bodies appear like those of all beings in color, form, and size, whose bodies are not harmed by fire, poisons, or weapons, whose beings are invulnerable as adamantine mountains, who vitiate the power of all demons and opponents, who shine like mountains of gold, whose bodies stand out among all beings, whose bodies are perceived by all beings, who are heard of everywhere, who are looked up to by all sentient beings, who are minds of the earth of all truths, who illumine all quarters, who are seen without opposition, because they have destroyed the mountains of obstructions, who are seen as supreme heroes, because they extirpate all roots of evil, who are a welcome sight, because they are products of many virtues, who are like Udambara flowers, because they very rarely appear. South of here, in the land of Shramanamandala, is a city called Sumukha, where a boy named Andriyeshvara lives. Go ask him how an enlightening being is to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings. Then, intent on purifying attainment of the valor of enlightening beings, his mind illumined by the light of the power of enlightening beings, with the invincible energy of enlightening beings in his heart, his mind girded with the armor of the steadfast vows of enlightening beings, the breadth of the firm basis of intent of enlightening beings on his mind, determined to maintain the multitude of practices of enlightening beings, never tiring of the ways of enlightening beings, resolved to attain all qualities of enlightening beings, desiring to offer himself as a charioteer for all beings, desiring to bring all beings across the wasteland of the mundane world, never tiring of seeing, listening to, and attending spiritual benefactors, with immeasurable respect for the teaching. Sadhana paid his respects to the monk Sudarshana and left. Continue to video 13.